City this morning. We are getting the dirtbags off these streets.
In this surveillance video, agents are seen sealing off Ogden Avenue as their partners moved in. Residents said the raid came as a shock.
I just can't believe it happened there, though, and I didn't hear anything.
One neighbor said it came as a relief.
I was planning on calling ICE, to be honest with you, so they got here before I was able to call them. I'm really happy it's happening. Very happy, actually.
Oops! I did it again, baby.
Well, if you've been under a rock recently, you know that President Trump had promised basically to begin arresting those illegal here in the United States and returning them back to their country of origin. We've heard several states have already reported this happening. At the time of this recording, in New York, we've already started to see that. We had the other day a 6 a.m. raid. In fact, it was joined by the head of Homeland Security, newly appointed Kristen Noem, who had joined along with ICE, the DEA, and ATF as they arrested a ringleader from Tren de Aragua gang, who basically was already on a kidnapping warrant from Aurora, Colorado. Those video footage that you see of Aurora, of them taking over that complex. This particular person was involved into that situation. His name is Anderson Zambrano Pacheco, 25 years old.
A multi-agency operation targeting dozens of undocumented immigrants for arrest and deportation.
Federal officials say one of those arrests is a member of a notorious Venezuelan gang wanted for several crimes, including burglary and kidnapping. Newly confirmed Department Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem was along for the operation early this morning. And not far from there, another arrest of a man reportedly wanted for a double murder in the Dominican Republic.
Now, outside of New York, federal agents spotted in Asbury Park, New Jersey, as well as Westchester County. All of them.
Basically, he and several others were arrested, and this is a situation that's going on. And you hear from those in the media, those politicians, and even in Hollywood that try to twist this into a bad situation where basically, they're sending away people, innocent people. I'm going to put this straight out first. And this is where the translation literally gets mistaken. They say, no, we don't, they didn't violate any crime. Well, coming into the United States illegally, across that border, if you stay past your passport date, is illegal. You go to any country in the world, and this happened, if such thing has happened as this, you're sent away or arrested, put in jail. You go to Thailand, pull this shit. Go to Israel, go to Japan. This stuff like this happens around the world. And there's some governments that are like, oh, okay, we're going to turn a blind eye. And that's the wrong thing to do, because you're allowing criminals into your country. And there are those, there are innocent. Yep. I'm going to admit to saying that. But some of them came here against their will. That's where the human trafficking part comes in. This is why there's over 300,000 children missing, which they've already found 80,000 of them. But we're going to read a little bit into this from the New York Post. Huge New York City raids of violent illegal migrants, only possible thanks to Trump allowing feds to finally protect our cities. The violent illegal immigrants swept up in the huge raids across New York City starting Tuesday have long been on the radar, but were left free until President Trump re-entered the White House and allowed the feds to protect our cities, a special agent leading the operation said Wednesday. These are targets that we have known of or have targeted in previous enforcement efforts, but have not had the opportunity and backing to go out and hold them accountable, said Frank Tariento, the special agent in charge of New York's division of the DEA, told Fox News. So they held back the DEA. This is not only ICE to that point. You're holding back the ATF. You're holding back the DEA. You're holding back federal authorities to do their job. This is not protecting anybody. What you're doing is you're doing damage to your cities. That changed just days after Trump took over from former President Joe Biden, whose immigration policies have widely been blasted for allowing millions to illegally stream into the country, including killers and gangbangers taking refuge in sanctuary cities. Yeah, we've had this situation. They had captured a Haitian who basically was already 17 convictions.
That's a lot of nuts!
This is a renewal focus, a recommitment to do more to protect our cities, to really go after the most violent, illegal, criminal drug traffickers and violent criminals that have violated our immigration laws, Tarantino said of the bust on Tuesday of at least 30 across the Bronx, Manhattan, and Queens. What you saw is a recommitment of the federal law enforcement community to really go back and take our cities, to keep cities safe, to keep our Americans healthy, and to give them confidence that the law enforcement community is there to protect them, he said. DEA agents were joined by the Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristen Noem, DSA agents, the Secret Service, U.S. Marshals, and the NYPD Special Operations Unit in sweeping bus. Notice that the NYPD joined them. A move to regain control of the American city, said Tarantino said. The bus target migrants with warrants against them for terrifying crimes like burglary, menacing, kidnapping, extortion, and various violent acts, and also saw the capture of the suspected Tren de Aragua gang leader, which now they're considered a terrorist group. The DEA alone busted 5 career criminals, federal sources told the Post on Tuesday. It was not immediately clear how many arrests were made in New York City and across the country on Tuesday. Monday, ICE said it made 1,179 arrests and lodged 853 detainers. Understand this. This is what has been happening cross-country in our liberal cities. This is the thought that they put. This is the holdback these liberal cities have. They're making it like, well, it's their fault that this is happening. No, it is you, the governor of Chicago, and the mayor, and also the New York governor and New York mayor, and the California cities, the governor, and each individual cities that they're dealing with is their mayors as well. You hold back. You declare yourself sanctuary cities. Sanctuary from what? Understand, most of these people, and they always keep pushing, they're all from Mexico. They're not all from Mexico. There are about over 32 countries that are busting across that border, including Asia, Africa, India. And the thing is, the major thing as far as law goes, and this is not only U.S. regulations, this is what the UN and many other countries have agreed to. if you feel that you're in a country that basically your rights are, being impeded, that your fear on there, you go to the first country that you can get to. So if you're in, let's say, Nigeria, and you show up on the U.S., well, that's not where you're supposed to be. How many countries in between did you fly across that you could have landed and had safe passage to? Including, because this is what you did, you flew into South America, primarily into Brazil, and walked up through Central and then through Mexico. And didn't even stop, went right through to the United States border. That should tell you something. That should really tell you something. And then you have activist groups. Oh, we're going to get into that. That needs to be investigated. There are some activist groups that are fueling this situation. Understand that they're fueling this. Because they're the ones telling people what to do if they get caught or if ICE comes knocking on their door. We already had that situation in Chicago, a Chicago school that didn't allow, which they thought was ICE agents. Listen to this.
Hi, Joe. We just received a statement from the Department of Homeland Security who told us that there were no immigration enforcement actions at or near a school in the entire city of Chicago today. Very confusing after CPS came out and told us that ICE was here on campus trying to gain access to the school. And then we reached out to ICE, the Immigration and Customs Enforcement federal agency, who told us they were not here today. The principal of the school came out and told us that ICE was here at the school trying to gain access around 11:15 this morning, and they said they did not gain entry. They were stopped at the front by CPS staff, as is their protocol.
Our security and clerk team followed the protocols that we've been trained and practiced and have discussed. And due to that, we were able to ensure the safety of our school and all of our students.
And the thing is, it wasn't ICE at their door. It was Secret Service. And you may ask yourself, why would Secret Service be going to a school? Because there was a threat made online. See, the stupidity is on this whole situation when it comes to the schools and stuff like that. They're not really going into the schools unless there's a credible threat. And you have to put to this point, what if you have an employee in your school that's an illegal and he's a convicted felon around the children, convicted of child abuse or CP, and you have him working around children? Think about that for a minute. Put that into perspective. I'm not saying every school has one, but it can happen in that perspective. But the thing about it is, Secret Service was there because there was a threat from within the school. This could have turned ugly. This could have been a shooter situation because the person that was making the threats might decide to shoot up the school. And then who's going to have so-called egg on their face or the blood of children on their hands in this case? The school leaders, the activists, the head of the school district who lied through his teeth on national television. See, they tried to whip up everyone, but they all have a political agenda ahead of them. Change this country, remove our republic status, our constitutional, destroy this republic. Because they're living la socialist vida loco. Note that some of these people that are crossing that border are trying to get away from the socialism. But it's socialists that are inviting them in. Kind of bit of insane, isn't that? You have to think about that for a moment. And then there are countries, literally, that don't really have a big crime issue. They have crime, but not to what the media has been pushing. For example, like El Salvador. I remember El Salvador from the 1980s. That was very violent. Where nuns were raped and murdered. A priest was assassinated. If you ever saw the movie Romero or the movie Salvador. Two very good films. But it's changed. The gangs are in the prisons now. The rebels are gone. It's not like it used to be. Not saying it's a perfect place. It's always still going to have its crime issues, but it's not a war zone like it used to be. And then we're hearing the reports now that Tren de Aragua is possibly being funded by Maduro from Venezuela. Now, I can't substantiate that, but there are people out there saying it. Do I believe that it's possible? Oh, freak yeah, it's not the first time. It's not the first time a dictator government tried to put criminals into a country. Fidel Castro did that in the 1980s. And so did the Haitian president at that time as well. Emptied out their prisons and mental asylums, tossed them into South Florida. What happened? It caused a crime wave throughout the East Coast. New York City had it bad in the 80s, 81. They did a task force to arrest those who have been committing crimes here that were Cuban refugees and Haitian refugees that came up to New York causing crimes.
These detectives of New York's 48th Precinct are assigned to a special crime task force created solely to combat crimes committed by Cuban refugees, boat people. 1,000 Cuban refugees have been arrested in New York since the beginning of the year, most in the Bronx. Police are convinced these men and a handful of women are the criminal element admitted into the U.S. when Castro emptied his prisons.
They admit to being professional criminals, bandits or banditos as they refer to themselves.
They're like kids in a candy store here.
They make their way to the Bronx through the Cuban Corridor, a direct pipeline to New York from Florida. Having once lived under the tight controls of communist Cuba, they bask under the constitutional guarantees of the U.S. and thrive in the permissive lifestyle of the Bronx.
And it's happening again. Yep, it's happening once again. We haven't learned from past history. We allow those on the far left and some from the right to allow this to happen. Here's one story, and this is, to that situation. A woman who was involved, young girl, who was involved in the Times Square melee with the police, and that she pleaded guilty to kicking the cops in Times Square, was supposed to come back, which the judge let her out on bond because she had a child. She never showed up for sentencing. She said she was not going to show up for a sentencing. Well, guess what? She's probably they're going to release a warrant for her. ICE is going to pick this up. And probably they're going to go after her. And they're going to send her back to Venezuela. See, this is the attitude they have. It doesn't matter if you're an adult, if you're male, female, teenager. There are those out there that are committing the crimes. Now, some of them, okay, there are some innocent ones out there. Like I said before, some of them are here against their will. They're here, you go to Queens, you see all the prostitutes and they're not only Spanish. You had the situation down in Florida where 30 Chinese illegal migrants were found in two vans that were here illegally. You have those out of Africa, those out of India, and many other places around the world that are coming across here. that they're being brought. We're finding them that they're shoplifting, they're prostitutes, they're working in factories illegally. I mean, we had that whole Tyson situation on there where people were getting let go, American workers, and being replaced by cheaper labor. And that's the thing that gets me also. And I get pissed off every time. I say, well, if we send these people back, who's going to pick our corn and our vegetables and stuff like that? Well, guess what? There's automation that's coming. And there are those who will gladly work the farms if they're paid a proper salary. That's the problem. You go cheap on the situation, and the thing is, most people don't realize they're paying them under the table. Yeah. Who knows what they're paying them? They're not getting the full rate. They're probably getting next to nothing. And the thing about it is, do you think they're getting a check? They're getting cash. So that means no taxes are being paid on it. Nothing into Social Security, nothing into FICA, nothing into state. Because they said, well, they pay taxes. The only taxes they are most likely paying is sales tax. That's right, sales tax. That doesn't cover Social Security. That doesn't cover Medicaid and Medicare. That doesn't cover anything else that's run through the tax system. Sales tax will just be a spit in the well to pay certain things that, it ain't going to pay for it all. And in some cases, some people don't pay sales tax because they're paying cash, which what a lot of these people are doing. They're paying cash. So the sales tax is skipped over sometimes. That old saying is like, from the producers, the two tax books. Show to the IRS, don't show to the IRS. But what I want you to show is to show me your comments. Let me know your thoughts about this. Let me know your thoughts about illegal immigration. Tell me. Let me know. Most likely, probably YouTube will probably make this disappear in the algorithm. But I know Rumble will show this out in the open. So be sure to like, share this video, and hit that subscribe button. Let us move up on there. We're well over 1,300 subscribers. So until next time, thank you for tuning in. Check out Otaku Thursday this Thursday, 6 p.m. Eastern, both on YouTube and on Rumble.